Welcome back to the channel, everyone. 2022 was filled with some amazing, memorable releases in the horror genre, and 2023 looks like it may be even better. Today we'll take a look at 10 upcoming horror games in 2023 that you'll want to look out for. Personally, number 3 is one I wish was releasing sooner. Please be aware that this list is based on games with either confirmed dates for 2023 or due for release at some point next year. In other words, your picks may not appear in this list because their release dates haven't been announced just yet. So with that in mind, here's our picks for 2023. At number 10 we have Death in the Water 2. This one feels particularly Lovecraftian. Dagon or Cthulhu, anyone? So in Death in the Water 2, you'll find yourself exploring the dark depths of the ocean as you fight off vicious sharks, horrible pale-skinned mermaids, and other aquatic monsters. Most sea creatures will leave you alone unless you provoke them, but at any time the Kraken could launch a mind control attack, sending everything around you into a feeding frenzy. Can you guess who's the top dish on the menu? There's no doubt that Death in the Water 2 is heavily influenced by cosmic horror and maritime lore, and from the gameplay I've seen, the physics are very convincing and the animations, literally fluid. Death in the Water 2 features some immersive underwater environments, sleek looking weapons, and a pretty decent dose of floating corpses. Graphically the game looks very impressive, and if the sound design is anywhere near as compelling as the lighting and physics, this should be an awesome horror experience. Death in the Water 2 is due for release in January 2023 and will be available on PC and macOS. And at number 9 we have Ad Infinitum. So this game might actually belong higher up on this list since it seems scary as hell. In Ad Infinitum, you play a German soldier haunted by the horrors of World War I. The walls between your nightmares and reality will crumble as you fight for your sanity and do your best to escape hideous shrieking creatures. Ad Infinitum is told from a first-person perspective, so you'll be fully immersed in the many hellish environments you battle your way through. It's no secret that the Great War was one of the most brutal and bloody conflicts of all time. Expect to don gas masks, sprint your way through trenches, and crawl across scorched landscapes strewn with barbed wire and corpses. As far as psychological horror games go, Ad Infinitum promises to be one hell of a ride. You'll be able to get a real sense of the deep effects of trauma and just how destructive and pointless war really is. Ad Infinitum should release in April 2023 and will be available on Xbox, PlayStation, and PC. Hopefully you don't develop trench foot while playing. At number 8 we have Sons of the Forest. Nothing like a little island getaway to relieve your nerves, right? Wrong! In Sons of the Forest, you've been sent to find a missing billionaire on a remote island. Just one small problem though. It's absolutely crawling with cannibals and mutants. Sons of the Forest feels like a mashup between Resident Evil, Far Cry, and that creepy movie The Descent. You'll get to use a range of different weapons and even craft tools so that you can build a shelter, find food, and, of course, take out hordes of faceless, slathering monsters. The environments in Sons of the Forest look great, and as a bonus, there are even different seasons that will determine what kind of food you'll be able to find, as well as what kinds of enemies you're more likely to face off against. If you don't want to take on the challenge alone, there's an online co-op mode which will allow you to play alongside your friends. The game's Steam page doesn't say how many friends though, so I guess more details will be revealed soon enough. Sons of the Forest looks like an awesome survival horror entry and one that should provide you with many hours of pulse-pounding gameplay. Sons of the Forest releases in February 2023 and will be available on PC. There's been no word about Xbox or PlayStation yet, but hopefully the game will make its way to consoles in due course. At number 7 we have Fatal Frame / Project Zero Mask of the Lunar Eclipse. Yes, this is a remake of the original game from 2008 that was released on Nintendo Wii. That means improved gameplay and updated graphics and features, but the exact same storyline and characters. In this traditional Japanese horror adventure game set in the 1980s, you'll take on the role of Ruka Minazuki as she explores an abandoned sanatorium on Rogetsu Isle. The idea is to find clues and artifacts to find out more about the island's troubled past, while also avoiding some vengeful spirits. In order to better deal with these apparitions, you'll need to use a staple of the Fatal Frame / Project Zero franchise, the camera obscura. As the game progresses, you'll need to equip more powerful lenses and use different films to capture the most powerful spirits as well as things that cannot be seen. Other than improved graphics and enhanced gameplay, Mask of the Lunar Eclipse features a brand new photo mode as well as some new costumes for the characters to wear. I'm starting to feel like this is more of a supernatural fashion parade than anything else. Gucci! Anyway, for fans of survival horror, Fatal Frame / Project Zero is an absolute classic, so if you're into games with unique mechanics and haunted locations, this is a definite must-have for 2023. Fatal Frame / Project Zero Mask of the Lunar Eclipse is due for release on March 9th, 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, PC, and Nintendo Switch. Coming in at number 6 is Alone in the Dark. 2023 looks like it may just be the year for remakes and sequels in the horror genre, and Alone in the Dark is no exception. It may be a bit generous to call this a remake, since Alone in the Dark is more of a complete reimagining of the original game from 1992. So with this in mind, it goes without saying that the game's graphics, gameplay, and features are all completely overhauled since the original came out about 3 decades ago. In Alone in the Dark, you'll get to play as one of 2 characters, private investigator Edward Carnby or Emily Hartwood. Set in the American South in the 1920s, Emily's uncle has gone missing. Along with Edward, she makes her way to Deseto Manor, a home for the mentally ill. It goes without saying that things are not what they seem, and that you'll inevitably encounter horrifying creatures, strange dark realms, and a terrible rising evil. This is really the game that started the psychological gaming franchise, so you should expect big things here. And with a story by Mikhail Hedberg, the demented author of Soma and Amnesia, you can expect a narrative that is wonderfully gothic and darkly complex in nature. Alone in the Dark should release in mid to late 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. Make sure you keep a change of shorts for this one. At number 5 we have Darkest Dungeon 2. The much anticipated sequel to 2016's Darkest Dungeon is just around the corner. Building on the highly popular turn-based combat of the original game, Darkest Dungeon 2 is a roguelike road trip of the damned, meaning you'll put together a party of skilled warriors to battle hordes of terrifying foes dredged up from the very bowels of darkness itself. Darkest Dungeon 2 features smoother animations, refined character models, and improvements to everything from rules to stats. In addition, the introduction of a brand new token system will give your decisions more gravitas and add some depth to your gaming experience. The real beauty of Darkest Dungeon 2, and the secret behind its predecessor's massive success, is its unique aesthetics and simplicity. The emphasis here is on formulating an expert strategy and keeping the pace of encounters at fever pitch. Darkest Dungeon 2 will have you riding around a ruined world in a stagecoach as you seek out new battles in an attempt to avert the apocalypse. No pressure. Darkest Dungeon 2 will release in February 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And at number 4 we have Resident Evil 4. Okay, this is more of a remake if we're being real. So, as with the other remakes on this list, you can expect vastly improved graphics and gameplay, but thankfully the same classic Resident Evil 4 plot. For those of you who don't know the storyline, you play as Agent Leon S. Kennedy, one of the survivors of the Raccoon City disaster that took place 6 years before. You've basically been sent to a remote European village to rescue the president's daughter who has been kidnapped by a demented cult. Yes, really, just you and nobody else. Anyway, you should be ready to face off against some massive corpulent abominations as well as the odd chainsaw-wielding psychopath. At least you can parry a chainsaw with a knife, right? Not everything has been perfectly preserved, I'm afraid. Sadly, this time around, you won't be able to save the wolf from the trap and have it help you during a boss fight. I know, but hey, maybe Ashley will be way less annoying this time around, huh? That would be a pretty fair trade, I guess. The Resident Evil 4 remake will be released on March 24th, 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. At number 3 we have S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2, Heart of Chernobyl. Cheeky breaky of Damke. Yes, comrades, get out that vodka and your acoustic guitar because S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 is out next year. Now, I'm pretty sure the title of the game is Heart of Chernobyl and not Chernobyl, so don't chew me out if this isn't correct for some reason. So according to the game's lore, there was a second massive explosion in 2006 that dramatically altered the exclusion zone surrounding Chernobyl. As an individual who has entered the exclusion zone to find out the truth at the heart of Chernobyl, you'll be facing off against some horrible mutants, strange deadly anomalies, and even different warring factions. As was the case in S.T.A.L.K.E.R Shadow of Chernobyl, you'll be able to join a faction if you so desire. There are also more than 30 different weapons, each of which features a number of modifications, meaning you can craft and customize your own arsenal of deadly armaments. As for the mutants, most are absolutely horrifying. Different mutants, as well as their subtypes, will employ different tactics in an attempt to take you down. In other words, be ready for a surprise attack at just about any time. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 looks absolutely incredible from a graphical perspective, and if it's anything like previous installments, you can be sure that it'll be an incredible horror gaming experience you won't soon forget. S.T.A.L.K.E.R 2 Heart of Chernobyl is still a ways off and is due for release in December 2023. When it does come out, it'll be available on Xbox and PC. In second place we have Alan Wake 2. It's been over 12 years since the first game released in May 2010, but finally Alan Wake 2 is here. While the actual story itself isn't clear just yet, It's obvious that the game will once again follow crime thriller author Alan Wake and also features Mr. Scratch, Alan Wake's evil doppelganger, who briefly appears at the end of the official trailer. There are references to both the original game as well as Control in the trailer, but if you want to read up on theories and Easter eggs, you'll have to do that elsewhere. Or maybe we'll cover it in the future. Who knows? What Alan says in the trailer is pretty cryptic, and deliberately so. From the sounds of things, the story itself is a monster, whatever that means, and as the troubled author points out, monsters wear many faces. While we can speculate on the plot, you can be pretty certain that you'll be facing off against plenty of enemies and using your flashlight to remove the darkness from the taken and possessed objects. I mean, maybe the mechanics of this game are a little different, but I'd be pretty surprised if there are major differences between the original game and Alan Wake 2. Alan Wake is easily one of the best survival horror games of all time, and with Remedy Entertainment behind the upcoming title, I have little doubt that this offering will be absolutely amazing. Alan Wake 2 is due for release at some point in 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, and Windows. And in first place we have Dead Space. So this might be a little biased on my part, but I'd be lying if I said I wasn't looking forward to the Dead Space remake. I played the original game a ton of times, and while the storyline itself is virtually identical to the original 2008 game, some parts of the Ishimura have been reimagined to make the whole experience that much better for players. You'll soon get to take up the role of CEC engineer S.T.A.L.K.E.R, again, as he joins the crew of the USG Kellion to find out what happened on the USG Ishimura, a kind of mining ship known as a planet cracker. Shortly after making your way into the Ishimura, it's apparent that most members of the crew have been transformed into twisted monsters known as necromorphs, ghastly creatures that have blades for limbs. Long story short, you'll need to use all the tools at your disposal to fight your way through the Ishimura and get to the bottom of what happened to the crew as well as the mining operation on Aegis 7. The Dead Space remake features updated graphics as well as new sections where you'll fly around in zero gravity, as was the case in Dead Space 2 and 3. Isaac also has a voice this time around, and with the all-new Alive system, Isaac's behavior will change depending on his physical state. In other words, if Isaac is injured, his speech and breathing will reflect that. If Isaac is low on oxygen, he'll start gasping for air and his heart rate will increase. It's a great new feature that makes the game that much more immersive and engaging. The Dead Space remake is set for release on 27th January 2023 and will be available on PlayStation, Xbox, and PC. And that's our list of the top 10 upcoming horror games for 2023. What did you think of our picks? Which game is your favorite? Or is there some other title you're looking forward to more? Please let me know in the comments. Be sure to like, subscribe, and hit the bell so we can continue to dish up that delicious metaverse, VR, and gaming content on a regular basis. Later!